A list of 38 complaints about refereeing errors by Kevin Roberts.
Dennis, has Parramatta developed a holier-than-thou attitude?
Oh, no, we're not holier than thou. Certainly, Jack Gibson and all his teams, he tries to tell the players to adhere to the rules, and certainly that can't be done all the time, but we always endeavouring to obey the rules and to keep our penalty count as low as possible. Any coach has got the right to put a report in. We don't regard it as a protest. The coach can put a report in to try to seek clarification on some of the referees' rulings, and that's exactly what Jack Gibson has done.
Can you imagine the rugby league public out there saying, yawn, here we go again?
Oh, sure, that's right. I know, well, since 1978, since we had some dramas over Greg Hartley, that people have been saying that, but if we think there's something going wrong, well, we try to right it. The reason that the report was put in was to try to find out the reasons why we're going wrong and why we're being penalised, and we're seeking clarification of the rules, especially around the scrum base, and also especially involving Ray Price, where we thought that he was penalised for incidents where opposition players weren't penalised. So we just want clarification on a number of rules so that in future games, and especially with Kevin Roberts, we might be able to get on better with him.
Ray Price, to a lot of people, is his own worst enemy. Is there any element of doubt that Ray might have just said a little bit more than what's been quoted?
Oh, Ray certainly said a few things, but he didn't direct them at the referee. He was talking to himself.
Dennis, there's been a lot of talk about Melrose's try, and it's generally agreed that it was a no try. But then you've got that situation now that's been raised that Stephen Edge was offside when Sterling put up that bomb, and Edge went through and scored. How do you react to that?
Well, I think it's debatable. I think whoever wrote that hasn't got much to write about. It was 3 days ago, and certainly that's got no effect on the result, and that we weren't protesting about the result or about Melrose's try. Certainly Melrose's try was mentioned in the report, but it was only one of many things that were mentioned. So, you know, it's got no bearing on last week's game, so I don't take much credence with it.
There's a double standard in there somewhere. He says that it's not important regarding the Edge try and that he wants clarification of the rules. Of course, someone who's standing outside of rugby league and looking at all of this and not knowing the people who are in the midst of this argument that's going on, who didn't know Dennis Fitzgerald personally, who didn't know Jack Gibson, didn't know that they were men of integrity, they could say that indeed the Parramatta Club is party to a scheme to try and intimidate referees when they are handling Parramatta matches. And that's the very question I've got to ask to the panel this morning. When does it stop being intimidation of referees by asking questions and, well, carrying on and questioning ad infinitum?
Well, the only thing is that the league do give him the opportunity to lodge these protests. I mean, it's there for any coach. Any coach can forward a list of complaints about refereeing.
But they never do. It's always the one club and the one coach. We've seen it all before, we've heard it all before, only the names have changed to the referees.
Now, wait a minute, it's the interpretation of their motive. Now, when it's all said and done, was that a complaint about the referee, or was it seeking an explanation of 38 times that they were penalised, that they want to know what they did wrongly so as they will not do it again? Surely, I mean, that's an honest approach.
Sure, I love it. I think that's a very intelligent way to handle the problem.
It's professional.
If indeed that is what it is. Well, now, hold on a minute. So has any newspaper managements or other managements of the media outlets been approached with complaints about coverage of Parramatta's games? Now, that's a good question to follow up, and that then, in turn, coupled up with that is very close, unless you knew the calibre and the type of men involved, that the public could misunderstand the situation and think that there is intimidation involved.
I think what you're saying, and I agree, is that the interpretation is that everything that Parramatta has to say about rugby league has an ulterior motive.
Yes.
I don't agree that it is.
No, either do I. Right, Jeff?
Well, yeah, right. I think Parramatta feel that because they're premiers, they're having to wear a hat that every other team doesn't have to wear. They're being dealt with unharshly.
They wore the same hat last year when they thought that they were being persecuted to the point they never would be premiers.
And they won the competition.
Right.
That's right.
Now, did they win the competition indeed because of their off-field tactics?
Well, it may have led to them playing better football if they got clarification on rules or something they were disputing.
Now look,
well, nobody had more problems than Greg with them. And Greg, did it get to you? Did all the pressure get to you?
No, it didn't. I just had a clear mind. I went out there and did the job to the best of my ability. It didn't concern me who was in the grand final. With the amount of things that were said by that various clubs, there are 25 complaints with me in the second instance. In the first, there was 15. But if you're trying to say there's 38 things now for them to look at, is that 38 things in the game that Jack Gibson doesn't know about?
No, they're seeking explanations for a number of times that they were penalised, so as they say, they will not let it happen again.
Frank, can I ask you
That's an honest approach,
Can I ask you this? Why don't they ever seek this when they win? It's always when they lose.
All right, I'll ask another question, and this is on the same subject, and I think we've covered that one. If we say it's not fair for Parramatta to continually question referees, is it fair for us to sit up here, as we're going to do today, and look at videotape replays and make second hands and third and fourth, fifth, sixth time we've seen the tape, judgment on referees?
Well, we're here representing the public, Ron, and the public question these decisions. They want clarification.
So they have a right to know?
I think so, yeah.
Most certainly they do, and it's our job, I think, to look into it even further. I mean, once the game's over, as far as a club's concerned, I think it's over. And I'm damn sure it is as far as every player playing the game is concerned.
Well, did you take exception in your days as top referee, Greg, when I'd get on this program and look at a tape and perhaps to almost the degree of persecution, analyse a mistake you'd made?
I've said so many times in the papers and when Ken's come out to interview me that you have a job here to do and I stand and fall by what I do on a football field. And when I walk off it, if there's flack, I wear it, and it never ever got to me.
OK, let's have a look at the incident now that Parramatta says is OK, which, amazingly, a committee of the New South Wales Rugby League also says is OK. Now, the whole argument no longer centres around whether the ball bounced off Price, was gathered and put down for try by Edge. It is the position of Price in relation to Sterling when he puts the bomb up. It is the relationship between Sterling and Edge, and indeed whether Sterling runs forward and puts Edge onside. Now, if he does not do that, it is not a try. The other fact you must look at is whether Loftus, when he goes up for the ball, touches it. Now, we'll prove all those points to you now. Edge was well in front. Sterling did not run forward because he's off balance. Edge was never put onside by Sterling. Now, Loftus goes up for the ball, and Price does too. It bounces off Price's shoulder without Loftus touching it. Now, we'll prove that to you again in the head-on shot. Now, I challenge the New South Wales Rugby League Committee that talked to Gibson about his 38 complaints. How could they say that was a try? OK, gentlemen, over to you. Here's the head-on.
Yeah, the head-on shows that clearly we had a look at it a few times before, and Price goes up.
Now, where's Loftus touch it? Tell me that, please.
Loftus is behind him, doesn't touch it.
Loftus
bounce.
doesn't get a hand to it, doesn't get any part of it.
Off his shoulder. Chest, shoulder, what?
Now, Ron, the only way that the committee could rule that that was a try is the film that they viewed to make a decision was inadequate. Now, the only way that that could have been a try was, in that situation, Loftus did get a hand to it, but we have proven here with that ring of truth that he doesn't, so it's definitely
look at it
no try.
here, the way, as we show it again,
look at Edge.
Edge was offside. Now, Sterling, look where Sterling is. Edge was 3 yards in front of him.
Never put
now,
on.
in the head-on shot, Edge is never put onside by Sterling. Now, that's where I question the Rugby League, and I say, are they bowing to pressure from Jack Gibson?
Well, Souths didn't protest. Souths won the game.
No, Souths don't protest. They're not that sort of a club. Now, here's the head-on shot. Watch Sterling in the background there. He does not run Edge onside. That's the... See Sterling standing flat-footed back there? The snowy-headed fella?
He stops to have a look at the kick.
Thank you very much.
The South players might like their club to protest. They might like to try and get a better deal from referees in order to win a competition.
Well, that's fair enough. All I'm saying is we've put the pro and the con argument here, and I just don't want to see another season of bickering off the field as we had last year and the year before and the year before.
Okay, so the thing about it too is that they've checked the 38 supposed mistakes. It's going to be 2 weeks before they even give a decision on it. Now, if every coach in the league issues one of those each week, they'll never stop meeting down there. They might as well pitch a tent and stay there with a video.
That's correct. After this break, we'll be back and we'll talk about West's Miracle Man and the player of the round.